Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's been a while. Today, I just wanted to get grounded. I've had a rough few months and it just feels so good to be back. How is everyone?
Good. Bill, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out. It's a little warm, but for the most part, I'm grounded, focused, and ready to roll.
That's right.
Hey, how
Same.
about
We're in
you?
the same hood, so like I'm getting the same weather you are, and just yeah, we're here to support Renee because I know a little bit more about what's been going on too, and I know Bill is aware too. But I'm just happy to see you here and that you have the energy to do this. So thank you for making the time to grace us with your presence because we
I
love you.
know. Just recently, my stuff, my health stuff, I've run into not only my Crohn's issues, but I've run into kidney issues. I've run into digestive issues, and it's been a hard road. It's been a hard road. I didn't expect everything to fail as they have. Um, so yeah, this is kind of my first time back, and it's grounding, and I love being here. So it was hard. I didn't expect to be back so soon, but we're here and we're going to venture on. And today I kind of wanted to bring forward, because it was a lot that I dealt with while being in the hospital, the inner family. And what the inner family refers to is the emotional parts of ourselves that develop in response to childhood experiences, dysfunctional homes. Many adult children are part of alcoholic families that may have parents that are alcoholics. They may be substance abusers, or they may be substance abusers or alcoholics themselves. Um, they grew up without consistent emotional safety. There was really no safety emotionally. They didn't grow up with healthy boundaries, um, or nurturing. And because of that, different parts of the personality formed to survive. A lot of a lot of people walk around in survival mode, and there are so many inner roles. We have an inner child. We have the inner critical parent, that one that's always in your head that's don't do this, don't do that. You're gonna fail at this. You're not gonna pass on that. And then we have the loving parent, and the loving parent comes into play to calm that critical parent down and to finally rid that critical parent so that we can become our loving parent. Um, there's also roles that we take on as survivors, and those roles are anywhere from caretaker, the hero child, the overachiever, the rebel child, the lost child, the people pleaser, and the perfectionist. And the goal to me is not to get rid of these parts, but to understand them compassionately and create more balance so they can finally feel safe. And I'd love for each of you to comment on that so far, and how you feel about those, and if any of them affect you in any way.
Bill, would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
Yeah, I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a crack. Okay. Um, the things that you brought up, Renee, are things that created the person I am today. Um, and the results have been something that's been continuing for a while. Um, growing up as a child, some of the roles we had to play for survival that was the reason we became these individuals, these personalities, these different levels of who we were. You know, as a child, we're not formed yet. We have no opinions. We have no ideas. We don't. We're reflecting back what's coming to us because we're unformed. So if we're in situations where there's a lot of drama, a lot of tragedy, that's how we view life. And then we take on personalities to handle that type of life. So if I'm growing up in a situation where I have no security, then I live in an unsecure life. And as a child, I don't know how to deal with that. So I bring up these different types of personalities, to actually handle those situations. The hero child, if I'm in a situation where nothing's working out, I become the hero. I become the person because there's no one else to step up. So I'll step up myself and do what's needed to be done. As a child, we shouldn't have to do that, but that's who we become to handle the situations we're in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the inner teen. Okay. As a child, I have to. I'm vulnerable, and if I'm vulnerable, I don't have anyone there to protect me. So I create an inner teen to protect myself. I need a guardian. So who's going to be my guardian? The inner teen. Who's the inner teen? I look around to the children or the kids around my age who have strength, and I start to imitate them. Okay? When I'm in a situation where I'm fearful or angry or whatever's going on, I bring the inner child retreats, and I become that inner teen, the person that I saw who was the protector. Okay, when when I was out when I was in school, I had this person who was always there for me. He's a bigger person, stronger, looked out for me, protected me. But when that person's not around, I become that person to protect my inner child who's afraid. And then there's other aspects that go on from there. So we develop these personalities to deal with situations that we're in. Okay, whatever that situation may be. So as I've gotten older, as I became an adult, unfortunately, those personalities were still there. And what would happen is I would be in a situation that I would basically go back to that childhood memory. If I was being criticized by an employer, okay, I would shut down interacting with that person. And instead, I would bring up that personality, okay, the critical parent, let's say. And the critical parent would beat me up and tell me, you're wrong. You're doing the wrong thing, Bill. Do a better job, okay? Why do you always screw up? You're always screwing up, okay? So how about you step up and start doing the right thing? You did this, you shouldn't have done that, you should have done this, you should have done that. And that was the parent when I was a child telling me that I did something wrong. And now I reverted back to that same situation. Okay, instead of dealing it in a mature adult fashion, not looking at this as criticism, but actually as a positive critique of things that I need to change. I beat myself up instead, saying that I'm a bad person. I don't deserve this. So we go through all these different things in our lives, and we're trying to figure things out. And our models were broken. And if our models were broken as we were growing up, then we become a broken person ourselves because we don't know what a healthy model is. So as an adult, we have to basically go over all those situations and do it over. Okay. You mentioned, I think it was the loving parent. We have to bring a loving parent in to basically say, it's okay. I watched a movie once. This is interesting because there was a movie called Good Will Hunting. Okay, and that individual in Good Will Hunting was in a very abusive situation. Okay, and had no one to count on. It was the only person you could count on was himself. He didn't want to shine because the shine would bring attention to you, and if you bring attention to yourself, sometimes people look at it as a negative fashion. So he hid it. And the only people who knew who he really was were his closest friends. But he wanted to blend in. He didn't want to stand out. To stand out meant you got attention. And in his case, the attention he got was negative, brutal, painful attention. So you want to stay anonymous. But that wasn't fulfilling who he was as a person. He was being the person he needed to be to survive in the situations he was in. Now, when I first saw that movie, I was like, oh, that's a great movie. Look at this, overcoming, But then when I started talking about the things you're talking about, Renee, it was a completely different movie. At the end of that movie, when the psychiatrist, and okay, people, if you don't want to hear how this ends, mute.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Okay. When the psychiatrist said it wasn't your fault, it wasn't your fault, because it wasn't.
Amen.
Okay. It was the situation he was brought up with. And he finally got the permission to grieve his childhood. It wasn't something that made him the person that he was, tough and invincible. It crippled him. And now he had the opportunity to change all that and become the person he always should have been. And then he gets into the car and drives off to, do the whole 9 yards. But again, spoiler alert.
Let me just frame it out a little bit for anyone that might be unfamiliar. The inner child is basically a toddler to 2, 3, 4 years old. And they usually carry innocence, fear, abandonment, wonder, unmet emotional needs, and early family conditioning. The inner teen, they often hold identity struggles, rebellion, shame, anger, comparison, loneliness, the first heartbreaks, lots of social wounds, and the need to belong or to be seen. The inner young adult may carry survival mode, and survival mode can start, for me, it started very early. Like when my dad passed away when I was 10 years old, I went into complete survival mode because I'm the baby of 10 and everybody was just in total chaos. So my survival mode, it was all I knew. It was all I knew. And my son made a joke about it when he was talking to his boys one day that my mom's 22-0 in fighting. And I'm like, ooh, those are things we don't want to say because those are things that I'm not proud of. But I didn't like bullies. I didn't like to see people getting bullied. Being the protector, I stepped in. I protected that person being bullied, and then when you fight one person, it kind of rolls and you got to fight another. But so there were social wounds with that. The inner young adult, they carry the survival mode, the toxic relationships, many toxic relationships for me because I didn't have that father figure, overworking, addiction patterns, people pleasing, fear of failure, confusion about self-worth and direction. And the inner critical parent, of course, that's our internal voice criticizing us, always criticizing us. We can't do it. We're not good enough. And then the loving parent, as I explained, is the one that is grounded, compassionate, the voice that learns to comfort and protect and guide all those people inside. So, Chimmy, what you feeling?
Well, first of all, Bill, well said, and obviously Renee, well said as well. I think that, as we start to mature and life starts to kind of pass us by quicker than we'd like it to, you realize that all of these aspects are something that we all have in common. And I can just speak from a mother perspective as a mom to a young daughter. Healing all of those aspects while parenting is that bridge of breaking these repetitive patterns. So I'm learning that now, and I don't have it right necessarily. I'm doing the best that I can with the tools that I'm able to and the time that I'm afforded to. But when you realize all the things that you've gone through and you understand that a lot of it was out of your control, the awareness that is born from that is truly key, right? Like it's understanding that all of our childhoods, all of the things that we've gone through were how I like to see it is they're just tests for us as we continue to live in a realm that's designed and almost set up for failure in our own individual ways. And when you have children, and as I have my daughter, navigating and bridging the gaps to kind of break that cycle of the same abuse, the same chaos, drama, all of those things comes with the understanding that we have choices as adults. And exercising them mindfully is also a part of having that awareness. It's like, I don't want my child to go through what I went through. It's not to to kind of, dismiss that those experiences happened. It's just, you don't have to repeat them. And a lot of people get stuck on, even if you don't have children, it's like, it's comfortable to sit in, I was hurt, I was abandoned, not remembering that all of these things they don't have to be what you carry to become the person that you want to be. So that movie, Bill, is 100% on point with that. It's like, we're all kind of born in a handicapped system. A lot of us have grown up with very traumatic childhoods, absent parents, drugs, alcohol, abuse, trauma in all the terms, right? Then if we have children, if we don't do the inner work, we sort of inadvertently, sometimes unconsciously, pass those traits on to our children. And it's like, we don't have to do that. And we forget, like, every single day you wake up, just like I chose this blouse today. I chose these earrings. I chose this cup to buy at the store with this delicious Nespresso pod and almond milk for today. Because, I was feeling the dairy, not the dairy, the non-dairy option, right? We have the choices. So, see, even the dogs agree. So, like,
they have to pipe in one time.
It's okay. I love it. They agree. They get me. I know. I love animals. But I think that that's a part of, like, what I'm starting to learn in all of this is that I understand all of these roles a little bit differently now. I may not be entirely healed from all of it, but I know I have a choice to want to do it and to do differently. And sometimes the healing comes with just making a choice that today I'm not going to mope about it, or today I'm not going to think about it. Today I'm going to make something beautiful instead of being angry. And it's all of those consistent efforts that ultimately create a ripple effect around you, from your past to your present, to then ripple out into your future, to sort of heal and put, a little bit of ointment on those wounds. They may not be fully gone, but at least it's like it starts somewhere. So if anything, it's all of these experiences are something that I don't believe that we should hold against each other. I do believe that we should have compassion for others. We should try to be understanding to others, but that comes from being understanding to yourself first and being able to see those traits within yourself, because all of us have made errors. All of us have done things that were probably not the best choices, but it's the awareness and the choice go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's there for you, and we forget that we have it. So I don't know. I think it's more like when you go with your childhood and you have all these aspects of yourself, it's learning how to integrate all of them, because they're all a part of you. And it takes starting with the smallest, right? Like,
we grew older physically.
Right.
But parts of us are still waiting to be heard, still waiting to feel safe, chosen, and protected, and loved. I mean, you grow older physically, but all those parts are, there's some that are still waiting for that. And some wait patiently, and, some don't wait patiently, where they continue just to be triggered. But yeah, everything you said made perfect sense. I mean, it comes at the time when you're ready to, to deal with them. And it's not about pushing that off. It's about you feeling ready. There's no set time for anyone to feel ready.
Right. And I think it's also okay for you to not, I'll just like tie this up here. It's just, knowing that you have the choices and you have the awareness, and that you don't have to be defined by your experiences, and that you can choose to do better even if you don't have children. But when you do, and you see
Mhm.
that little face reflecting back at you, and you know you were in that position, like, that blessing of that child is mirroring to you how their experience can be different even if it wasn't for you. And that's where I think compassion is born, is that when you see innocence, especially if it's been robbed, like, you don't want your kids to go through that. I don't. I would rather go through it 1,000 times than to look at my daughter and have her experience ounce of the pain that I went through. And for some, people can say, well, she's going to have to get bullied. She's going to have to do those things. Sure. But I can at least equip her with the tools, knowing that I know what it feels like, to know how to kind of like not let that destroy her self esteem, not let that, you know, dismantle any type of like happiness or positivity, or her feeling safe within herself, to know that, like I like to say a lot, it's a you problem. You know, you don't like me, it's a you,
Right.
right?
And I've heard you say that before. I heard you say that before. It's learning how to sit with yourself compassionately, identify what's hurting you underneath, and develop safe emotional regulation, healthy connection, and boundaries. You have to, and like you tell your daughter, that's a you. You have to sit with yourself and you have to think about it and you have to realize what's bothering you and then come back and maybe we can speak about it. And that's a perfect approach. If it's working for you and her, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great parental choice.
Right.
I
Good
wish,
choice.
yeah.
One of the things that you guys are talking about is I didn't realize how much I was affecting others until my son, and the response I got from him was one of pain. The tools I had to parent him were not the tools that encouraged or protected him. They were the tools that actually hurt him. I remember the way instead of encouragement, I used punishment. If you don't do this, you don't get this. Rather than, you did a great job, keep doing the good job, it'll get better. I really not appreciate, I hate that word, appreciate. I really love how you're, doing things now. Okay, just keep up the good work. Encouragement, rewarding with love and compassion, not with things. Okay, because things aren't personal. You know, they want you, not sneakers or whatever the heck they were looking for. They want your attention, your love. The very things I didn't have as a child. So I don't know that's what I should be giving to my child, because I wasn't getting it myself. What I was getting was, well, the abandonment I had was emotional abandonment, psychological abandonment, physical abandonment, spiritual, financial. I got nothing. And the only time I got anything was when I did something wrong. And when I did something wrong, I got criticized. So I thought that's how you parent. No, that's not how you parent. And that was the beginning of my journey to start over again. Okay? Because up until then, my idea of living my life was to control everything. Because if I could control anything, then I can't get harmed. If I could control the situation or the people in my life, they can't hurt me. Well, guess what? Last time I checked, people don't like being controlled. They don't like being manipulated. What they do appreciate is you hearing them, seeing them, and agreeing with them, and then finding common ground, rather than saying, "Well, you're not doing it right. You should be doing it the way I'm doing it." So I had to integrate all the traits that I had, survival traits, because there are actually some good aspects to those survival traits. Okay, but the problem is the way I was utilizing them was wrong. Okay, one of the things I'm very quick at doing because of the survival traits I had was I can look at a person and quickly identify who they are, threat, friend, whatever, which is good because I can read people very well. The thing about that, though, is not to use that to manipulate people. I was using it to manipulate people. What I should have been doing was finding common ground with that person and then bonding with them in a healthy way. I didn't know how to do that. It was foreign to me. It was vulnerable. As a child, vulnerability was the thing that got me in trouble. Vulnerability was the thing that put me in a situation where I could get hurt. So that's where I began to come back to the program and look at all the aspects of my life, those traits that were basically causing me discomfort. Because I was actually, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. The very things I was trying to do not to be abandoned were actually causing me to be abandoned because I was pushing people away. So how do you reverse that? You go back to the beginning and you look at all the reason why you do the things you're doing and you say to yourself, how do I do things differently? And that's where we start repairing ourselves. That we start looking at the triggers in our lives. Those triggers in our lives are the things that actually we react. We react to things rather than interact with things. Two different things. Okay? If I know why I behave the way I behave, then I have the opportunity to change that behavior to something that's healthy. So thank you. You guys mentioned some things there that reminded me of why I'm here in the first place. And the outcome of all that has been people like me. Go and figure that. People actually like you.
They
People
do.
like being around
We love you.
But that's the
love
difference.
you, Bill.
That's the change. Okay, but listen, I'm talking a little bit. Follow up with me, please. Okay, see what am I? Do you understand?
Yeah, and I feel
Yes.
like I feel like the healing journey for me begins when I stopped asking what's wrong with me, and I started asking what happened to me and what part of me still needs care. I had to not focus so much on what I felt others did, but what happened to me and how do I fix me, because it's that time now. It's time to fix me. It's time to get out of being that hero child, that fixer, that caretaker, the perfectionist, and listening more to that loving parent. And a lot of it is just me sitting with my higher power. And I just sit with my higher power, and that's who I talk to. That's who I scream to. That's who's going to guide me. That's who's going to show me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it's how I cope. I cope a lot with my higher power, and I cope a lot with learning to become my own loving parent and getting rid of the conflict inside.
I agree with that, Renee. And I'm very spiritual in a lot of ways, and I believe in having faith in something much larger than you. And it is true. Like, we naturally want to just blame ourselves for a lot of things that don't go right, especially even after when you become an adult and the control issues come up because you didn't have control as a child. So then you want to control everything around you, even the people, places, and things that, you want your fantasy world to be perfect in the way that you see it, without allowing that everyone has free will to choose as they want, right? And it's learning how to understand that people also have choices that you're not going to agree with, and it's to be respected. If you want to be respected, then you also have to respect that others have their own frame of thinking, frame of mind, and you kind of work with that. I just think that we've lost, in general, the ability to, not us here, but I think a lot of people where they get stuck is everyone has to adapt to me and how I am and the version of reality that I see versus integrating it into a collective web where we can all coexist. So it becomes this, like, not only do we only battle our own inner child and our own inner family, we're dealing with it with everyone around us. You know, it's like it's hard to meet people, which is why, like, in my own personal belief, I don't believe in matching energy. I don't believe in, tit for tat necessarily. It's more like, okay, if it means I have to be the bigger person, it's not because I get any brownie points. I know they're there, but it's more like for myself, I'm choosing that. Not because I'm being told to do it, it's because I know that that's what's right for me. And it may disrupt people and it may make people upset, even those you love, which is the hardest part, especially when it's people you care for. I mean, I'm dealing with it with my own daughter. Like, how do I guide her without enforcing? Like, I have more knowledge than she does in certain things. How do I let her come to her choices on her own without playing God in her life? That's a big point of, like, I mean, certainly wasn't afforded to me. It was just like, you do this because you're a girl and you're Latin and this, that, and the third, and this is how we do things, and that's just what it is. But in the effort to not repeat those things, in addition to doing my own inner work, it's how do I not inflict that or put that pressure or project that onto my daughter, who is her own soul, her own being, who's going to make her own choices, and guide her properly without inserting, like, this is what it is. It's a really tricky spot. I don't have it figured out, but
You're doing a perfect actor, acting and not reacting. Because sometimes when we react, it doesn't come out the way that we want it to. So to act on an emotion, to listen to an emotion is a lot different than reacting to it. Because like I said, a reacting can be negative or it can be positive, but sometimes the negative might outweigh the positive in a reaction. So it's perfect that it's perfect that you listen, in my opinion only. Having that parent that actually listens and wants to try to work through the solution. And I'm going to mute for a moment. Somebody else can talk about my dog's bark.
Okay.
it's true. Phil, like, I'm curious for you, like, I have a daughter, and of course there's going to be, just for children in general, regardless of, gender, race, etc., the reality is where we live, the world that we live in, is still going to have these issues, these ideologies, the isms, everything surrounded on how, when you're born, you're already born into a system that already has, like, conditioning in place. So how do you do that with your son in terms of, like, trying to help him navigate now, aside from the work that you do, also in the world that we're about to step into, where it's very much, robots and AI and all of this stuff, and, like, we're losing a part of our humanity to some degree. So how do we remain human in a very non-human world? I don't know. How does the next generation kind of apply the work once we're kind of, since they have a whole different perspective than we do, and navigating that, I'm sure, is going to be a lot more difficult for them. They're up against robots, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's interesting is my son. Once I start working on myself when he was around 12. By that time, I had done some damage. Okay, to him, and I had to come back into the situation. Now he was angry, he was hurt, and I had to let him tell me how he felt. And I couldn't justify my behavior. I had to acknowledge his emotion and his pain and let him speak. And in fact, I encouraged him, because when I first started talking to him, I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry about what happened, blah, blah, blah. He goes, Dad, don't worry about it, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. I need you to tell me how you feel. And then he took out the shotgun and he just started blasting away. because he needed to do that. He needed to let me know what he felt. And the end result was basically he that was his way to heal. Then after that, I had the opportunity to listen to him, hear him, parent him the way he should have been parented in the first place. And the end result is this: I have a son who people are attracted to him. I have a son who has tons of friends, is discovering who he is, has a broad life world experience. He travels around the world. He has a great life. He has friends. There's still some things going on that he still needs to work on. I mean, the damage that was done is still there, but he's learned to actually handle life a little bit better. And one of the things that Renee, you were talking about was the whole piece about victim rescuer. When I was growing up, I was always the victim. I was always picked on, ignored, whatever. Okay, I was the victim in all situations, just about as far as I felt. And result of that is, as an adult, I'm a protector and a rescuer. I will go out of my way if I see someone being harmed to protect them, to save them, to fix them. Whatever the thing I didn't get, I'm going to give to you. If I know you, if I don't even know you, I will do that. I've gotten into fights on subways protecting women against men who were abusing. I don't know who they are, but it's an automatic thing I do because I know how it feels to be in a situation where you're in fear, you can't protect yourself, and you're being ignored because no one's there to save you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how that felt, and I do not ever want to. If I see a situation like that, I know if I don't do something about it, I will never forgive myself.
Exactly.
Because I remember what it felt like as a child. No one was there for me, but that's not going to happen to you. I'm going to be there for you.
And it's sometimes it's hard to navigate because, especially in the world today, because you never know who's packing a gun. You never know who's going to blow when you step in. So now it's so hard to navigate. Okay, do I become the person that's going to help? Do I stay in my own lane? Like, it's a whole different conflict now because the world has changed so much as far as even road rage. This guy just cut me off. Okay, so do I piss that person off, pull up behind him, ride his butt, then he's going to come beside me and boom or smash my car? It's like, now it's so hard to even figure out this path because the world keeps changing with us, so it's hard.
Passion as a society in general, which is why, like, I bring up that point about how do we guide our children into navigating a world that we don't even know what's to come, right? So I ask that because, yes, it starts at home with teaching, doing the inner work, and mirroring a positive, example to your children, since they're watching you. Like my daughter, I feel like I just see like a little Bob everywhere I go. So I know she's like watching my every move as her mother, as the female. And, no pressure, but, there are things that I can't really explain to her yet. But, inherently she's already like more of like a passive child. I was not. I was always just like, I made a post about it. I just said the name Cassandra. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, it's like Cassandra was blessed with the gift of prophecy, but cursed with not being believed. That was always my existence for like I would be like, y'all are telling me the pen is green, but it's writing in blue ink. What are we doing? And it's like, it's always going to be blue. No, it's not. It's green. And it's like, there's always this, right? So it is hard to know when to speak, because then it triggers like that whole, I'm not going to be believed, or I'm going to be ostracized. And humans are social creatures. You don't want to be left out. You don't want to be like put in a corner. No one puts baby in the corner. But like you don't want to have like those experiences reopen certain wounds. And then it's like, how do you teach the wounds that the child, or like, because that's the thing, it's like the conflict I have is like, I don't want my child to ever believe that because of how she was born, who she is, that she's limited by that and that she can't be who she wants to be, or that she needs to pay the consequences of my actions. So even on like with an online presence, I'm very intentional about what I say, trying to not curse as often. Can't say it's all the time. I'm a New Yorker through and through, so forget about it. What are you gonna do? But sometimes the things come out, but it's more showing up in an authentic way, knowing that that authenticity is the very thing that threatens this entire system. So how do you teach your kid that like being yourself too, once you know all of these things and you can identify it in others, it's just going to always be a constant battle. It's never going to be peace unless you create it. So that's a hard lesson. Like you can do all the work, but you're still going to battle people who haven't. Right. It's still going to always like trigger something in you that's always going to have to remind you of something that you've been through. So how do you coexist in these spaces? How do you teach children that don't have that experience that? How do you help them navigate that? Because that's where like I feel like I'm kind of at in my own journey. It's like I've identified a lot of parts of the inner family, and now it's like I've had them sitting at the table. We're all eating a nice meal. We're eating together. We're understanding, sharing stories. And now with this future that's coming in, which is probably going to be an even more fabulous version of myself, I'm just saying now. But like even that part that's coming with my daughter and all the versions of her, it's like, yeah, it's cool in this bubble, but then getting outside of this bubble is like not so fun because you're like encountering like
Yeah.
when you see things that are wrong, you want to speak up because it's wrong. But then at what cost? I don't know.
And my child is grown like Bill's, and yesterday was it, and he's married to a very large Greek family in our area. And yesterday was his chrismatations, if I'm saying it correctly, where if you're of the Catholic religion, it's like a confirmation because he's been baptized Catholic. So this was his conversion into the Greek Orthodox Church. He received his Greek Orthodox name, which his middle name is Paul, and the Greek name is Pavlos. So now he is Pavlos. And he reminded Mom, now I have another 2 things. I have a new birthday and I have a name celebration. So I get to get 2 more gifts. So it's funny how, that comes into play. And me, I'm thinking, it's something that I have to learn because I don't know a lot about the Greek Orthodox religion. So I take it upon myself to learn and to research so that I'm going to know what's going on in my grandson's life. I'm going to know what traditions they're following. I'm going to know how to be prepared and not be the person that stands by like I would have and not speak up and not participate and isolate. I want to be able to engage in the conversation. I want to be able to be knowledgeable about it. I want to be able to answer questions. I mean, afterwards, we all went to eat, and I sat right by the priest, who was really cool. He was like in his 40s, and he was like really modern. And I found out one of the only differences between a Catholic priest and a Greek priest is the Greek priests can get married, and they don't have a pope. So yeah. They don't have a pope.
News to me because I grew up Catholic, and I'm just like, like that's just
so that brought on a whole nother bunch of questions. How does the hierarchy go? If you don't have a pope, and yeah, it was really interesting. It was really interesting on all aspects. So it's something I'm learning. To where before I would have felt excluded, I would have been mad. I would have been upset that my son's not staying with his religion. I would have been jealous my son's bringing this large family in and forgetting about me. I would have isolated. And it took a lot of work to overcome those feelings and to step up and to say, hey, I want to be a part of this. I want to know about this, and I want to embrace your family that you have. You know, it's putting our families together to make a bigger village, is how I look at it now. As to before my recovery journey, I would have been literally angry and probably showed my ass about being angry. So I had to train my mind to go at it that way.
That's fair. I mean, I think like even just in hearing that, I think that that's also my thing. It's like I want to be able to know, and that's a part of like the childhood. Like I want to control like certain aspects, right? Like you're just like, but I don't know. So how do we know? And it's like, well, you just do the best you can as you go through it, right? You take it day by day, and you resign control, and that is 1,000% very difficult, not only because of my zodiac sign, but because of everything around. It's like when you've been in control for so long, to let that go is the biggest, hardest lesson.
Right, because it's only been me and my son. You know, I raised my boy, and to now see that, you know, he has new godparents and he has a new family and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, don't forget about me, because kid, it's just been me and you all these years. Just been me and you. And don't leave mom out either, because you have this big family and you have things to do. In a gentle way, don't leave me sitting here on a holiday by myself because you're doing other things. Just remember I'm here. That's all. Just remember I'm here. And I'm still trying to figure out myself how to let him be aware of that.
You know, one of the things that the story I mentioned to you just now about that whole thing about protecting, saving, and all that stuff. You guys brought up the same thing my family brings up. You know, Bill, don't do that anymore. You can get hurt. And I had to ask myself a question, and that question was very simply, why do I behave the way I behave? And I had to acknowledge my childhood. And what I was doing was I was reacting to everyone around me. Okay, and that took on different characteristics, different characters, different personalities. So if I was with one group, I'd be this person. With another group, I'd be this person. With another group, I'd be this person. I was never being myself. So if I couldn't be myself, then how could I be? When I'm alone, I'm empty, because I'm always bouncing off other people. But if there's no one else to bounce off of, then who am I, really? I'm a collection of all these different things: the inner child, the teen, the love, the young adult, all these different pieces. But all those different pieces don't make a unified person. It's not my true self. So I had to go back into my childhood and look at my childhood and look at all these different survival traits that I incorporated. And I realized what I was doing was, it was always external. It was never internal. And I had to refocus on my, what does Bill want? Okay? I had to learn how to be my true self. I had to stop having people tell me who I was. I had to stop looking for people to give me, not necessarily confidence, but basically telling me,
validating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Validation. I had to have self-validation, not external validation. And when I found self-validation, then I didn't need to act out to actually look for people to basically say you're doing good. I don't need you to tell me I'm doing good. What I need basically is to know that I'm living the life that I want to live. And if you can't accept that, that's okay. Okay? I don't need you to accept my life. And it took me a long time to get to that point, because I always needed other people to validate me, because then I could feel good, because I never got validation as a child. So once I start learning self-validation, then the world outside was just the world outside. And I can pick and choose where I want it to be, how I want to interact, and whether I want it to continue to interact. If I'm in a situation that's a negative situation, I've learned to step away. I don't have to engage. I don't have to push across my opinion and let you know you're wrong. So now, instead of doing those things on the subway, what I do instead is I mentor. I open doors for others. I become the person that people can come to ask for help. And I give them the help that's appropriate to them if I'm able to do that. This childhood stuff and all those things I've learned, all those traits that I used for survival purposes, if I use them in a healthy manner, they're extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we're doing right now.
Yes. House. That's what I've been saying.
Amen.
You don't sometimes, like, I think that, and not to cut you off, Bill, but just to insert this one little nugget here, it's, as you're saying that, it's kind of like what I've been sort of figuring out even in this online space. Like, as someone who carries the light, let's say it's that. We all have light within us if we choose to accept it as that. Your job is not to go into dark spaces to bring the light. That's not always the role that's designed for you. Sometimes it's okay to just be the lighthouse and attract who is ready to receive. That was definitely a big learning lesson and a big learning curve in the space where Renee and I had met. And some of the people in the chat, it's like when you're in a true crime space, we're all there because it's, you know, we're trying to advocate for justice and in these circumstances that are very dark with crime and everything else, whatever the case may be. But that environment breeds all sorts of people, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people do have the intent to want to do what's right and what's justified and to bring awareness to, you know, the corruption in a state or whatever the case may be. Most of us met because of the Karen retrial. But then when you think about it, there are going to be people who, you know, are the ops, the double agents who come in with other purposes. And then it's like, once that starts to, like, you kind of can get lost in feeling good that people look at you a certain way, that you kind of get boxed in to a certain personality, to a certain persona that has to stay this way because it's what makes other people comfortable. That perception is what makes people comfortable, right? So when you start to show that you're the most imperfect person, like all of us, it triggers the hell out of people. They're like, wait, what? Like, my fantasy of what I think you are is being destroyed right in front of me. And these spaces can do that because it's like, when you choose to be light-hearted or just light in general, and you come like Bill, like I'm sure Bill, if we see Bill this way, we see Renee this way, you see me this way, you see us in this context of the conversation, but we're multifaceted people. Like, you know, Bill might be into really heavy metal. I don't know. Like, I know I could be, but you know, like we're multidimensional, multifaceted people. And in these spaces, like just being the light is kind of like a blessing and a curse to some degree. So that at that point, it's like, look, as the imperfect human that I am, that we all are, you don't have to force that perception of like doing good or being the good person, that inner child being like, you need to be seen as good. No, I'm going to be seen as human and a lighthouse. I mean, I have all the answers. I don't. And I'm always learning. I'm a student of the universe, a student of God. But at least in that respect, it's like, you can come to my lighthouse. I might just be a stop on the way on your journey because there might be something that resonates with you. But in terms of what you were saying before of like seeking external validation, you're so on point with that because so many of us unconsciously still do that. And
Right.
when you start putting yourself on the internet, it feels nice to have those likes. It feels nice to have those numbers. And then you have to wrestle with the fact that this is a part of life, but it's not your entire existence. It's not the definition to who you are outside of this 55 minutes that we've been here, right? Like, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because I think all of these things tie to the constant struggle of like what I was kind of saying before. It's like, yeah, you can do the work, but you're constantly that work is constantly being tested like all the time.
Yeah.
Every aspect of life. So
Yeah.
Because sometimes the goal being that it's not to judge or reject the parts of ourselves that learn to survive. I mean, but it's not to reject them. The child, the teen, the young adult, they did all the best they could because of the tools, the limited tools they were given. They were given limited tools, and they just did the best they could. Go ahead, Bill.
When I used to identify, when people used to talk to me and they would say, so, you know, they wouldn't ask me, who are you? They would be looking to see who I was. And I would always identify as my job, what I did for a living, as opposed to what I like to do. And that was problematic because I didn't have an identity. That was my identity. My job was my identity. The person you see on the screen right now, that's not my identity. That's just something that is part of me, but it's not all of me. It's a piece of me. Okay, there's more to me than this. And one of the things I've learned how to do is I learned to accept people for who they are right now, not for who I want them to be. And I hope people also accept me the same way, who I am, flaws and all. I am far from perfect. Trust me on that one, okay? But I'm doing the best I can. And because I'm doing the best I can, and because I'm trying to become a better person, I think that in and of itself is something that people should look at and go, good job. Keep up the good work. You know, and also one of the things I want to bring up also is the fact that we're sharing our vulnerabilities, we're sharing our flaws. It allows other people to also be okay with their flaws. Okay, because a lot of us, I know for me personally, I used to beat myself up for all my flaws because I would look at other people, like we're looking at right now, I see 2 dimensions of who you are. And I see you at your best at this moment in this platform. So I'm judging who I see against who I am. And I will always fall short because that's my belief that you're perfect, that we all don't have problems. We all have problems. Sometimes we allow people to see them, sometimes we don't. Okay, but we all have problems. And the difference is we're sharing not only the problem, but the path we took to get out of that problem. There is a way out. And we're letting you know that we know that because we're on that journey to get out of the forest.
100%. Amen to that. Seriously.
I agree. Recovery, it's not just about breaking free from what hurts us. It's about learning how to care for the parts of us that have been broken. We need to care about the parts in us that have been broken. And it's got to be judgment free. It's got to be breaking free from what hurt us, not allowing it to hurt us any longer. Which boundaries, that's when boundaries come in. And to care for the parts that have been hurt all the way through it. It's a journey.
Even if people do, because I mean, I will say, for example, there will be people who will hold you prisoner to a version of yourself that they are familiar with because they haven't outgrown their own things, you know? So you'll see someone from your past and they still think that you're that person that they left behind, and not knowing that you've evolved past it. And you could probably get along with that person or not later in life, who knows? But I think it's just having the awareness that you don't have to allow anyone to keep you prisoner to who you were. Like, and I see that even with like people who don't have addictions, or like, for example, it's like telling a drug addict who's in, who's become sober and is in recovery, you'll always be a drug addict. And it's like, no, you don't get to take that from someone and say that the choices that they made years ago, they still have to pay consequences for, or still carry that cross, that burden, because it makes you comfortable. You know, like that's not, I don't agree with that. And I just wanted to say for the people in the audience, like, don't allow people to keep you prisoner to perceptions
I'm
that,
going to tell you a funny story about that.
yeah.
I was talking about the people that you used to associate with. I went back home. I left when I was 15, and I went back home when I was about 22. And I was in a bar, and I'm dancing with the girls, you know, we're chilling, having fun. And all of a sudden, I hear somebody scream across the dance floor, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." And I'm not thinking to myself, this ain't about me. I haven't been in this city in years. It ain't about me. Well, this 5'11" girl starts coming straight at me, and I'm like, oh, it is about me. So I'm like, what's up? And she said, when I was 10 years old, I used to have to walk a mile around my way to get home just so I could avoid you because I was afraid of you, blah, blah, blah. Now it's my turn. And I had thought to myself, okay, this is where self-defense comes in. This is where Taekwondo comes in. So when she came at me, I just slid off to the side. Boom. I said, let me just give you one little bit of information. Therapy helps. And I walked out. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to do it, but it happened. I'm trying to get past it. It's time you do. Let's get past it. But yeah, you do. When you walk into the old scenario, it's like, yeah, I'm not part of that anymore. I'm trying to grow. You know, I may not be the best at growing, but I'm trying. And like, try to grow with me. I apologize that I did that to you. It wasn't my intention. It was my survival. And I was able to say that to her outside because the people inside said, because I have, 4 older brothers that are no longer with me. And they're like, oh, guess you just like your brothers. Name's going up in the wall and you can't come back in here no more. I'm like, peace. Put it up there. I don't care.
That's so
So
funny.
as we were standing outside, me and the girl had a chance to talk. And
that's so funny. Like you just said this whole thing, oh, well, you have 4 older brothers and you're just kind of like that. And I just remember that just immediately brought a thought to my mind where my mom used to be like, well, you're a part of me and you represent me. I'm like, ma'am, excuse me? I represent myself. I don't represent you. I mean, respectfully, especially now as an adult, like I am a free sovereign soul. Like I am my own person. So it's so funny that people will like, I mean, there is this thing where you have to, what is it, like your network is your net worth, and not only because of the tangible aspect, but even in the way that people perceive you. It's like if you're hanging out with this type of person, it's almost like you have to be mindful of not playing the savior role with certain things, because then here you are associating with people that aren't at your level, and it's not because anyone is better or less than. It just comes to alignment. You're trying to help people that aren't in alignment with you and trying to force it, not knowing that it's simultaneously messing you up too. You know what I mean? Like that just brought that memory about my mom saying that. I heard it very clearly and I'm like, Mom, I'm not representing you. I am my
right.
own person.
If you need to put my name up there underneath my brothers, go for it. But I'll probably never walk back into this place again, so it's all good.
I don't know. It's just that just really it definitely brings that up, because I tell my daughter that all the time. I'm like, you are who you are, and you're gonna have your own set of issues and problems and things that you're gonna have to encounter in your life. My job is to do my adult responsibility, and your job is to be a child and have fun and do the things that you have to do. And whenever you have any issues that you're unaware of and you're not sure about, you can always talk to me and your dad about it. And that's also very new for me too, because, similar to how your son has a whole family unit, I'm the one who in the family is in a stable marriage, which wasn't reflected to me through any of either side of the family. That was like a big thing where like toxic relationships thrived in my lineages. And to have some sense of peace and stability where you have a partner, a husband who understands where you're at, allows for you to grow, and we're reflecting a healthy dynamic between a loving partnership to our daughter, like those are the tools, because it's not just me, it's also him, and showing respect towards what he feels, showing respect towards what I feel, what she feels, what all of us as a team, as a unit, how we operate. That's important. So yeah, we're all, to some degree, yes, we are a family, but we're all individuals within that system. And all of us have our own contributions to what makes this family function in a healthy way. So, sorry, Mom, I love you, but I am my own person. I still look like you, but still.
And it's good.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Bill.
okay. It's interesting you bring that up because way the way my family interacted was it was all separate. We all had our own lives. It wasn't integrated. It wasn't something. The only time we integrated was basically when we had to, dinner or something like that, or whatever. It wasn't something like we went out of our way to support each other. Okay, what we basically did was existed. We basically, I will basically be in the room with you and I will tolerate you, but don't interact with me. You stay over there, I'll stay over here. If we have to interact, we'll do it quickly, briefly, and move on. Okay. And it's amazing because one of the things that I realized is that for me to get along with people, I was self-abandoning because I thought I couldn't be myself to be with someone else. Who do you want me to be? Do I need to be the loving parent? Do I need to be the critical parent? Do I need to be in their team? You tell me what personality I need to be so that you like me and get along with me and don't abandon me. And in doing that, ironically, I was already self-abandoning myself because now I had to be the person they wanted me to be so that they would be with me. And I couldn't relax because if I was in a group of people and I was different with each person and now they're all together, that makes things a little difficult. Because if I had just been myself all along, then I could get along with all these people without having to basically maneuver throughout the situation. And the easiest way for me to maneuver through a situation was not to say anything, to become invisible and allow everyone else to be themselves, and I couldn't be anything.
Right.
So it's interesting that now my friends know who I am. My friends interact with me. Okay. And all those things I learned as a child growing up, again, I will keep going back to this over and over again. These are helpful tools if used in a healthy manner. If I continue to use them in an unhealthy manner, they will continue to hold me back, and I will continue to be unhappy, unfulfilled, and without direction. But because I now took these traits and skills and have incorporated them into me in a healthy manner, together as a group, not individual traits to react to other people, but actually be that person as a whole with all these traits together, now I can find purpose, fulfillment, happiness, and direction.
Yes.
Amen to that.
Amen.
And I'm gonna focus on one thing about recovery that has helped me, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Chimmy. Recovery invited me to move beyond survival mode and into healing because survival mode exhausted me. It exhausted me. It taught me to listen to the wounds beneath the behaviors that I had, to replace my self-criticism with compassion and become the loving, nurturing presence that my kids needed all along. My kids needed that all along. Sometimes I didn't see it, and it's what they needed. When I learned to care for my younger parts with patience and honesty and grace, as Chimmy says, I no longer had to seek relief in unhealthy ways. I didn't have to be unhealthy anymore and use my unhealthy ways. I began to find safety within me, my connection with others, and my hope for the future. For me, healing has not been about becoming someone new. because I love to keep the old me. I love Renee. I love Shanae. I love whoever happens to want to be out that day. Um, it's about becoming whole, one day, one choice, and one act of self-compassion, one day at a time.
That's right. Well, I love that you said that because I think that's a part of what, like, I've been more interested in the work of Carl Jung and all of the concepts of integration. And that's kind of the phase that I'm in now that I like entered a new decade. I just turned 40 and it's great and I love it. And, you know, even that, like, you know, I love when everyone's like, you're such a baby. Listen, at this point, at this rate, I see it because there's a lot of people that are even older than me that are stuck in these cycles of like the same nonsense that I'm like, y'all don't have that much time left. Like, let's get it together. So, you know, the integration aspect of that is what is basically what you're touching upon, Renee. It's learning how to be your authentic self, whole and complete by knowing your shadow aspects, your light aspects, and allowing them to coexist in a really nice balance. That is key to everything. And authenticity has been, the term itself, in my opinion, has been hijacked because authenticity doesn't mean like, look at how authentically a jerk I can be. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even that. It's just more like you are understanding and you don't walk a path of like one righteous way. You're kind of in between. You know that you're imperfect. And that's the authenticity that shines through. It's not, you're not trying to sell something to someone. Please believe me, I'm a nice person. Like, no, it just like, it's a vibe, it's an energy. And when you're comfortable in that energy and in your own unique authenticity, that's when the integration has really come into place because you no longer look at your experiences from a point of, yes, you can have sadness towards it, but it doesn't have the same impact in you. It doesn't have the same impact towards your life and how you choose to carry yourself because you finally stop surviving and you learn to live. That's the key with all of this, is just to live authentically, and that's when you can walk your purpose. Your purpose sometimes, like how even having a purpose has been hijacked, in my opinion, as well, where it's like your purpose is tied to your monetary value. It's tied to the career that you do. It's tied to the accolades, to pieces of paper, and all of these things, to what, you know, weirdo group in the upper echelons of society you subscribe to. None of that is a purpose. And that's something that, you know, especially like as a millennial, you know, kind of in the in-between, in, you know, they'll call the 40s like your midlife crisis. I'm like, I'm not calling it that. Like, why already am I going to think of it as a negative thing? I'm going to call it a midlife renewal. It's like, I have now an opportunity in this next phase of my life to enter it with wisdom, as authentically as I'm able to exist, surrounded with the people who are on that path in alignment with me. I'm not trying to have people follow what I do. I think that everyone is allowed to exist and should exist as themselves. And we're all just kind of, our purpose is to exist as individuals as we connect the web of what our universe, what, you know, heaven on earth is supposed to be. It's like, regardless of what we look like, or skin, gender, religion, race, etc., it's just you exist whole and complete. That is the purpose. Like, but getting out of the survival mode comes with understanding that, like, the fabric of what we see of this reality is set up in a way to drive you away from that, from being you. And the more that you are yourself, the more you're the glitch, you know, like the more you're able to kind of like tweak things around, that it's like this reality that we live in, these ideas that we've been conditioned to believe as truth because it's been told to us, versus, you know, questioning things, gets you out of that surviving. Because most of us are trying to figure out what the hell we're doing here. Like, is it tied to, you know, having 10 cars by the time you're 50? Is it like everyone goes through a midlife crisis? Like, why does it have to be a crisis? So it's the fact that you're willing to question and just slow the pace down. Turn off the phone, go hug a tree, put your feet in the grass, look at the sky, write in a journal, do the work so that you can actually learn what it feels like to just live in your vessel, in this meat suit, as it's aging, but taking care of it in a way that the driver behind that soul that you have, that we all have. I mean, I question some, but for the people who are on this path that have that want to do better, that starts to live and shine through this vessel so that your earthly experience becomes something you can live rather than survive. That's the purpose, in my opinion. That's just how it is.
Thank you, Jimmy. Go ahead, Bill. Round your thoughts up on this section and part of healing.
Yes. For me, healing is to embrace who I am, in the sense of all the things I've been through in my life, the good, the bad. That's who I am. And I embrace that. I don't feel shame. I don't feel regret. These are all learning experiences that allow me to become the person I am today. I'm a stronger person. I'm a person who believes in myself. I'm a person who is not afraid of failure. I embrace failure because that's how I learn, but I don't beat myself up because I have failed, and I don't run away from failure. But what I do, my purpose in life, is to find my tribe, to find the people who I want to be around and who want to be around me. Everything else is just stuff that I have to do to get there. But my tribe is my purpose, to be with people who I care about, who care about me, and we're all together in this journey in life. And we're here to support each other, help each other, and be there for each other in our times of need.
Yep. And sometimes that tribe and sometimes that circle is small.
Yes.
And sometimes it's gigantic, but sometimes it's really small. But it's important. Very true, Terry. Very, very important.
That's
so,
yes, Renee.
let's say some happy things and what's going on this weekend for everybody before we get on out of here. Have any plans?
You want to go ahead, Bill, or would you like me to go?
Go ahead, Jimmy. And Bill can follow you, or either or.
No, I'll be a gentleman.
Aww.
It's fine. Thank you, Bill. That's why we love you so much, because you're just so awesome. I am just, going to enjoy this nice weather-ish. It's kind of getting a little gloomy, but that's okay, because even in the shadowy days, the gray days, you can find some light and happiness. But yeah, just kind of relax and just keep focused on the day ahead and just really take it in. I've been learning to slow down even more and just sometimes just sit in complete silence and allow that to kind of let my thoughts run. Meditation has been very helpful, although very scary in a lot of ways, because I get I'm of the belief that we all have an ability to have connection to God and psychic ability. It's a part of our intuitive nature. When you feel things and you start to really hone in on trusting yourself, trusting your gut, trusting the positive thoughts, but also the warnings and the warning signs. So through all of that, it's from taking a step back and not being distracted and removing myself from spaces where that energy is not conducive to growth. And that's where I'm literally even into today, this last month, May into June, has been just kind of a pullback and just being more focused on the slower pace, really enjoying the coffee, tasting all the notes that they talk about that you're wood notes, what? And you're okay, I get it now. I taste the cherries, so a little bit of that, just keeping it slow and lighthearted for the most part. That's my plan.
Okay. I will basically pause, reflect on this moments I had with the two of you, enjoy those moments that we interacted, remember what you said that was helpful to me. I have a little place I go in my head when I want to be quiet. I go to the beach. There's a beach I go to. Is Beach Haven, New Jersey, on Long Beach Island. Okay,
Okay.
I have that image. Okay, I sit in a little lawn chair, listen to the waves, put my toes in the sand and wiggle my toes in the warm sand. And that's my happy place. I'm going to go over to the park, breathe in the fresh air, listen to the birds, watch the children play with their parents and stuff like that. Go over to the Governor's Island, walk around Governor's Island and enjoy Governor's Island, enjoy the sailboats and everything else. I'm going to be quiet and contemplative and not worry about the things that have to be done. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the day, and realize that things are pretty damn good.
Awesome.
And Miss Renee, what are you doing this weekend, you fabulous lady, you?
This weekend is going to be about rest and healing. As most of you know, I have spent probably 3 months in the hospital. It's been a long journey, and it's going to be one when I'm ready and don't cry through the whole thing that I will share. But I am so grateful to be home. I am so grateful that I have my bed, just like the simple things. I have my bed, I have my heating pad, I have my coffee, and don't have to ring a bell for one and be denied. No, you can't have that. No, you can't have that. I get tired of hearing the word no, no. And I'm happy not to be poked, and I won't go any further with that. I am grateful. I'm so grateful that every morning before my feet touch the ground that I can say thank you to my higher power for giving me another day. I used to ask why I deserved it. I don't have to ask anymore. I know why I deserve it. I am so proud that me and Chimmy and Bill have come this far. I am so proud that we have decided to go further with this and do more things, not just focus on recovery, but focus on a lot of different aspects in the world that need to be talked about. This is just a little piece of one. And I thank you all for sharing this part that lots of people may not know about, may discover about themselves, may turn on a bell. And thank you for taking part in it with me. And I'm grateful that we're going forward, and I'm looking forward to what we come up with next. Yes, and I'm just going to chill. I'm going to catch up on some softball regionals. I see that they're on TV. I had the opportunity to play in college. It's very dear to my heart. So yeah, that's my plan, to be a couch potato.
Yes, enjoy.
And decompress.
Yes. Cool. I love that. You deserve it. And thank you for making the time to bring us together, Bill. It's always an honor to be on a platform with you, and likewise,
and with you, Chimmy. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we make a great team, so I'm very excited for what's to come. And after this, if you guys want to chat, you know what we gotta do backstage. Sorry, y'all.
Yes, definitely. I gotta go backstage.
So we had to have a meeting.
A gathering, not a meeting. Yes.
A gathering. And as Miss 808 would say, I think it would be, are clothes optional?
Listen.
For that swim.
No, exactly, Bill. Also, thank you to everyone in the chat, the mods, obviously, to everyone too for taking time to be here. This is the crew that we know, and we're very grateful that even within this community that there's a lot of just general support amongst everyone. So
Yes.
thank you to everyone in the chat for being here too, and the mods, the fabulous mods, and everybody
And
else.
don't forget to sub up, share, and be prepared for more to come in the near future.
Yes.
Peace and love, all.
Bye, you guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good Saturday and good weekend.
Have
Enjoy.
a good weekend.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.